You'd probably agree that in an ideal world, you do best living your life in accord with the golden rule. However, in the real world, attempting such an existence is, to say the least, precarious. For almost daily, you're likely to be confronted with situations that warrant suspicion. These are circumstances in which other people or institutions have shown themselves to be untrustworthy, their underlying motives or intentions unsettling. In these instances, ought you self-protectively to oppose them, or simply turn the other cheek, and by doing so, leave yourself wide open to be taken advantage of a second time? Historically, fundamentalist belief of most religions, directly or indirectly, have recommended the latter choice. Traditionally, if reacting passively when you've been deceived ultimately guarantees an eternity of bliss, not retaliating or defending yourself makes very good sense. Yet, if we examine these interactions to an external provocation rationally and secularly, it hardly makes sense at all. If, on the other hand, within daily relationships, your intent is pragmatically pursuing your own advantage, might it not make sense to disregard others' preferences and not so much cooperate with them but capitalize on their possible trust in you? There's a constant mental assessment of the value of what is done. This strategy is known for its ability to train cooperation during an irritated two-person prisoner's dilemma. It's said to be used in 3 ways. 1. As a way of describing a competition in which each person or persons are trying to prove to the other that they have done more, had the better option, or have had it harder. 2. The tendency to disagree with whatever the person says so he, she, or they can't hold it over the other. 3. As a way of describing some form of quid pro quo. Tit for tat, without question, is unconscious language. If you're seeking a conscious relational space with others, we would like to help. Those who fall into the tit for tat trap base their relationships on strict reciprocity. I will only do this if you do that. If you stop doing what I expect of you, I will stop doing what you expect of me. The list can go on and on. Relationships based on strict reciprocity can work well for, say, 2 partners joining in a business contract. I give you money in exchange for service or product. The problem with using a framework of strict reciprocity in personal relationships is that it is difficult, nearly impossible, to exactly calculate the worth of each person's actions and behaviors. This unhealthy state of tit for tat, talionic thinking, or concentrating on keeping the scales of a relationship exactly balanced can create animosity and discord between those involved. Our observation is that we live busy, overstimulating lives. Our plates are overflowing, and there simply isn't the energy or the excess time to be introspective at the level required to actually enter over and understand the motivations behind our ineffective tendencies. So, how do we avoid falling into the tit for tat trap? None of it's going to come easy. It's all work, but so is the drudgery of endless bickering turned silent treatment on repeat. You can move beyond that one argument and maybe tear the Band-Aid off another festering wound that needs mending, slowly working through heartaches and fears of years past. Here are some ways to stay clear from tit for tat behavior. 1. Address your basic feelings while addressing your internal bias. Think about the recurring friction. really try to identify if there is an insecurity for you surrounding the topic. If you're going deep enough, you should notice some discomfort and even embarrassment. Admitting flaws doesn't feel so good. On some level, if you linger in it, you may be able to recognize a sense of fear. This is going to vary based on the situation at hand. However, it generally comes down to a fear of not being worthy of love or a fear of not feeling accepted and or connected. Determining your raw sentiments isn't a cure-all. You then have to remind yourselves of them the next time you feel the desire to battle. The goal is to be able to talk yourself down from the ledge because we know how biased and irrational mental interactions can be. It also helps to remember that others are fighting their own inner battles and all are just trying to protect their hearts from pain and loss, as well as noble causes. 2. Give up mind reading. If you're feeling underappreciated or that you've been pulling more weight than the other, don't stew about it in silence. Speak up. Those involved will either A. be happy to help, B. happy you asked, letting them know how they can help, C. let you know they have an equally full plate, at which point, if you calmly reflect on it, you'll realize that your availability bias had steered you wrong, or D. they won't offer and care less. Either way, you get a clear-cut answer and don't have to spend so much time speculating. 3. Take responsibility for your own need. At times, people expect others to meet their emotional needs, but can't pinpoint what they are. And in doing so, resort to covert contracts in hopes others will take the indirect hint and reciprocate their generosity. We all know we can't rely on someone else to make us happy, healthy, or confident. We must take responsibility for becoming whole ourselves. When we don't rely on someone else to meet our needs, we are then able to give and do for others with no strings attached. 4. Let it flow. At this point, we are sure some of you are thinking, but what if I'm giving so much and it's hardly ever reciprocated? Isn't that a recipe for getting walked over and taken advantage of? Certainly, setting boundaries is important, while making sure not to reinforce certain behaviors by rewarding them. In general, when you're in healthy relationships, things just flow naturally, without the need for scorekeeping or fears of being taken advantage of. Revenge sounds so sweet. Returning the favor, even better. Confucius said it best: act with kindness, but do not expect gratitude. When we move through life from a place of giving rather than receiving, learning rather than ignoring, global perspective over right and wrong, and love versus hate, we open ourselves to a world of hidden truths and opportunities to discover and grow. We here at LML empower you to avoid the tit-for-tat traps. Thank you for watching.